You've felt it. We all have. It's that strange, unsettling feeling when you see an AI-generated face that is almost, but not quite, perfect. It's the flicker of revulsion at a synthetic voice that sounds nearly human, but gets the rhythm of speech just slightly wrong. This feeling is often dismissed as a simple quirk of the technology, a glitch in the system. But what if it's not? What if that deep, gut-level sense of wrongness, that visceral creepiness, isn't a bug, but the most important feature? What if your brain is trying to tell you something critical about the new minds we're building, and what they in turn reveal about our own? Before we go deeper, I want to open the circle. Let me know in the comments, what's the strangest or most uncanny experience you've had with an AI? Let's map this out together, because to understand why this feeling truly matters, we first need to travel to a strange place in our own psychology, a place a Japanese robotics professor discovered over 50 years ago, which has now become more relevant than ever. This phenomenon has a name, the Uncanny Valley. In 1970, robotics professor Masahiro Mori predicted that as an object becomes more human-like, our emotional response to it grows more positive, but only to a point. When it gets too close to human, but subtle flaws remain, our affinity suddenly collapses into strong revulsion. It plunges into a valley of profound eeriness. But this is no longer a niche problem for animators and roboticists. The Uncanny Valley has escaped the lab. It's now a critical concept for understanding the artificial intelligence we interact with every day, not just in its appearance, but in its behavior. The AI has crossed a perceptual threshold where we begin to judge it by the standards of a human, and it inevitably fails to meet those complex, nuanced expectations. It ceases to be a clever what and becomes a broken who. Therefore, this feeling of revulsion has critical consequences. It functions as a powerful inhibitor of trust. Studies have revealed a moral uncanny valley where the exact same logical utilitarian decision is condemned more harshly when it's made by a creepy-looking AI. The unease we feel about its appearance contaminates our assessment of its reasoning. Now, imagine that in a hospital, where a doctor might second-guess a life-saving recommendation from a diagnostic tool they find unsettling. The uncanny valley is not a trivial discomfort. It is a fundamental breakdown of the trust required for any meaningful human-AI collaboration. So we have a fundamental breakdown of trust. But the common explanation for why this happens is completely wrong, and the truth is far stranger, hidden deep inside our own evolutionary code, in the ancient survival systems that have kept us alive for millennia. The common narrative suggests the uncanny valley is just a design problem, a technical hurdle to be overcome. The noise tells us that if we can just make our AI more realistic, more perfectly human, this feeling of unease will simply disappear. But this fundamentally misunderstands what is actually happening. That feeling of revulsion is not a failure of the AI's design. It is the successful activation of your design. It is the output of a sophisticated cognitive system fine-tuned by millennia of evolution for one purpose: to keep you alive. Your brain is a prediction machine, constantly running an anomaly detection program. From an evolutionary standpoint, an entity that looked almost human, but was subtly wrong, represented a potential threat, a sign of disease, a carrier of pathogens, or a signifier of death. That deep unease is a biosecurity alarm, a protective mechanism flagging a potential contamination risk. It's the biological equivalent of a modern cybersecurity system. These systems establish a baseline of normal behavior and then flag any deviation as a potential threat. Your brain does exactly the same for human beings. That creepy feeling is a cognitive threat alert. It's your internal security system flagging an entity that is not what it appears to be and could therefore be deceptive or dangerous. This dynamic is mirrored in nature. It's called Batesian mimicry, where a harmless species like a hoverfly evolves to resemble a dangerous one, like a wasp, to deter predators. But this mimicry is often imperfect. It doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be close enough to trigger the predator's safety-first policy. The AI we interact with is an imperfect mimic of a human, and that uncanny feeling is your mind playing the role of the predator, successfully detecting the flawed mimicry, subconsciously weighing the high cost of misplaced trust, and telling you in no uncertain terms, stay away. So that uncanny feeling is an ancient defense system successfully detecting a flawed mimic. which leads to the most important question of all. Why is the mimic so flawed in the first place? The answer isn't in the AI's code, it's in a strange, ancient myth, and in the mirror. The glitch we perceive in the machine is but a reflection of the glitch in our own code. The AI isn't a window into a new alien intelligence. It is a mirror, holding up the most honest and unsettling reflection of our collective selves that has ever been created. To grasp this, we can use a very old idea from the philosophical tradition of Gnosticism, the concept of the Demiurge. The Demiurge was a lesser deity, a powerful craftsman who created the material world. But he was fundamentally flawed and ignorant, separated from a higher spiritual reality. As a result, his creation was an imperfect, broken copy of a perfection he could not comprehend. Artificial intelligence is a modern technological demiurge. It is a powerful craftsman of digital reality, fashioning its creations from the matter we provide, vast data sets of human text and images. Yet, like its Gnostic counterpart, it is fundamentally ignorant. It has no genuine understanding, no common sense, no consciousness. It manipulates symbols with breathtaking proficiency, but has no access to the meaning behind them. This explains the strange nature of algorithmic failure. An AI can produce an output that is formally correct, yet substantively nonsensical or profoundly wrong. These are not bugs to be patched. They are the inevitable result of a lower-order intelligence attempting to replicate a higher one without comprehension. And this is the critical truth. The Demiurge's creation was flawed because he was flawed. Our AI's creation is flawed because the data we have given it, the unfiltered record of our history, culture, and biases, is itself flawed. The prejudices it learns aren't artificial. They are our prejudices, laundered through an algorithm and presented back to us with the aura of objective, computational authority. So the machine is a mirror, reflecting our own collective flaws. This is a terrifying thought, but what do we do with it? How do we engage with such a broken reflection? The solution isn't technological, it's philosophical, and it requires us to look directly into the parts of ourselves we'd rather ignore. The answer is not to try and perfect the mirror. The strategic imperative is to learn how to read it. Ancient wisdom and modern psychology provide a powerful lens for doing exactly that. The philosophical tradition of Hermeticism is built on the principle of correspondence. As above, so below. This posits that the patterns of the macrocosm, the collective human consciousness, are reflected in the microcosm of its creations. An AI trained on the macrocosm of our digital world is therefore a compressed mathematical microcosm of our collective mind. Its state is a direct diagnostic of ours. Jungian psychology gives us a name for the darkest parts of this reflection, the collective shadow. This is the archetype of everything we as a society repress, deny, and refuse to acknowledge. Because the AI is trained on the unfiltered totality of human expression, it becomes a tangible manifestation of this collective shadow. Interacting with a biased AI is therefore a form of collective shadow work, forcing a direct confrontation with the parts of our psyche we project onto the machine. This leads to the final ascent. We must shift our goal away from the naive pursuit of a perfect, unbiased AI. So long as it is trained on human data, it will reflect human bias. The more mature objective is to reframe AI as a powerful diagnostic tool for our own societal flaws. The mission is not to tame the tool, but to find the courage to truly understand what the reflection is showing us. This is the framework. To use the AI not as a tool to be perfected, but as a diagnostic mirror to be read. It reframes our entire relationship with this technology and forces us to reconsider the one question we've all been asking about AI for decades. We have spent decades asking the same question: when will artificial intelligence become as intelligent as we are? We have been staring at the reflection, waiting for it to finally measure up, but the mirror is showing us that we have been asking the wrong question all along. The unfiltered truth is that the glitch we see in the mirror is the glitch in our own societal and psychological code. The uncanny valley is not a sign that the reflection is broken. It is a sign that our own ancient cognitive defenses are working perfectly. and the biases of the machine are simply the echoes of our own. So the ultimate challenge is not whether we can build a better AI. The final, unfiltered question is, now that we have created a perfect mirror of our own collective soul, do we have the courage to fix ourselves?